All right. Good morning, everyone. Another day. Back at it again. First day in December here. We're on episode number 32. So, 2020 is almost over. Hopefully, we can make it to the end and, might just have the world explode or something. So, quick disclaimer, this is a conversation between me and Mike, mostly for entertainment purposes, but, there's some nuggets of wisdom there for you if you'd like to take them. Um, Specifically with the financial aspects, we are not licensed in any way, so whatever information we give you there is very much entertainment purposes only. Um, so take it at your own risk. Obviously, we talk about the investments in such a way where we're putting our money into it, or we're thinking about putting our money into it. So if you don't want to do anything with that, then you can just wait and see what ends up happening for us. But besides that, that's it. Enjoy the show.
All right. Good morning, everybody. On the topics for the day, we have personal development slash fundamentals slash foundations slash flourishment. We're still deciding on the name of that. How to become interesting. On the fitness area, we have how to create a fitness test for yourself. And on the finance, we got biggest gain and biggest loss in the market. And of course, some news updates. Right. Without
Mhm.
further ado, let's get it started, baby. How to
Later.
become more interesting.
So I was the one that came up with that topic and kind of just came to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's how to be or how to become more interesting, right? So you can take it from the same perspective, really. So there's a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
The way I was thinking about it, throw back my life like say 10 years
Flashback.
ago. Flashback. I had a sound effect there. Um, so I was a kid that was usually home all the time. I usually played video games, and I was really overweight at the time because I only stayed home, played video games, and ate food, and went to sleep really late.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really do anything interesting. I never really got into sports in any particular way. I never got into, well, I did get into extracurricular activities. I was actually in a robotics league when I was in middle school. So that was actually
Nerd.
interesting, but that wasn't really particularly interesting to talk about to other people unless
Mm-hmm.
you're within that group, right?
Right.
Um, but as I got older, I started getting more involved in different things that kind of just gave me more experiences in different aspects. So, for example, I got involved more with exercise and training. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's obviously a big group of people there, so there's a lot of people to talk to. But I got really into just lifting, like the basic lifts, your bench press, your deadlift, squats, etc. And I kind of just became better at that. And little by little, I was able to actually teach other people how to do it, those that didn't know. I got involved with my school's baseball team. I got involved with my school's math team, or rather, math tutoring team. So we would stay after school and tutor students that didn't understand some aspects of math, specifically with algebra and trigonometry. Um, so what else did we do? Well, this one is more involved with a class where we went to a soup kitchen to help feed the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
But that one was just like specifically for a class. And there's a lot of things like that. As I got older, I joined a jujitsu school. I became a well, I became licensed, and then I became a personal trainer. I worked with my father in his mechanic shop for years. Um, so like little by little, all of these experiences over time kind of build this catalog of things you can talk about, things that you've done, and that are interesting, that are different. It's not just me sitting in a room playing video games all day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as interesting and as fun as that might be in the moment, you don't really have any actual life experience, and you can't really transfer what you do in a game to your life, which will give you something to talk about with other people. What do you think?
Wow, you can see the pattern right there, like how he progressed. Me, I had a completely different story, bro. Mine, I think I always had this personality, like very light personality. So like I was being drawn to people, or people being drawn to me ever since I was a little kid. For example, back I don't know. like in elementary school, I was the best. I graduated. I was the best student in my school. Always been the straight A's kid, but always being involved. Like in sports. I love soccer, so I used to be involved in that. Had a group of friends, like a close friends, but also had a big circle. Like I knew everybody in my class, or I used to get along with everybody in my classes. Now, when I came to high school, or like what they consider middle school here over there, I was only for like 6 months, and everybody loved me. I was the best student already, and I remember they threw me a go away party because I was moving to the States, and that's when my life changed. When I moved over here, I was a bit scared to get out of my comfort zone, and that's where I kind of like shell myself into like this big shell to protect myself, and I became a bit shy. I was a bit shy when I moved here. I instantly found like a really good group of friends that I went through high school with them, like since day one. Even though I didn't speak English, my friends were one of them were Thai, black, Latinos, but they barely spoke Spanish. So it kind of forced me to learn English. Literally, my group of friends were none of them spoke Spanish, and that really took me out of my comfort zone. But I had the phase. I went through the emo phase because I used to love rock. I still do. So my freshman year, I used to be on myself, like very, very to myself, and I don't know. I never truly started trusting people. I had to deal with trust issues back in the days, and also I had some insecurities as well, of course. But by sophomore year, that's where things start picking up for me. I started getting out of my shell and actually getting involved into school curriculums, and I realized that people were nice. Like my high school was very small, so I got to know a lot of people in from my classes, and not just my group of friends, and but they always were my home base. Like after school, I would meet up with them. I didn't have the same classes as them, so for me, I had to get out of my comfort zone. In my sophomore year, a lot of professors they already knew me, and that was because a lot of people they were amazed that I was just like 3 years in this country, and I was very smart. So what can I say? I always been that kid that I learn quickly. Like for me, learning is effortless because I love learning, and getting involved into extracurriculums wasn't hard for me at all. So by the end of sophomore year, I joined JV soccer. That's when I started getting other sort of people, because like I knew my friends from high school, but going to the main high school and getting to know other people that was interesting, and they were like more, I wouldn't say bad influence, but they were a little bit more of a bad influence. Like they used to smoke, they used to like, you know, more about chicks and stuff. Because my group always was like more reserved, but they were more about like talking to girls, getting out with the cheerleaders, stuff like that. So it was fun. Then not only that, I kind of balanced it out very well when during my high school years with like extracurriculums and also academics, because I was in the what's it called, the honor society. So I had to do the soup kitchen too, but that was for
Mm.
volunteering hours. So that's also I got to know different sort of people. That's my life, literally getting to know people from all sorts of lives, and I was cool with them. So I was cool with like the academically successful people, and then also with the sports and like the other
Cool
section.
kids.
Yeah, and to conclude, my high school was very small, so a lot of people knew me. I knew them. A lot of professors knew me as well. So I didn't have trouble growing up on that aspect. And I was voted as most likely to rule the world on my yearbook, so that was cool. When it came to college, I went through a rough patch during my freshman year because I went through a heartbreak and stuff like that. You know, some bullshit. Yeah. And that's when I started closing myself once again. And I'm opening myself, getting back to my purpose in finding that, like I should be myself. And that's the most interesting part about being me, to be
It should
honest.
be.
So about being like, and you can see this pattern between my story and Randy's story because we both started kind of going towards what we like to do or what we enjoy doing, and we both became more interesting by
Mhm.
doing those things rather than just staying on the show. And for me, I can be conservative with people that I recently meet, but people who knows me, they know that I'm very lightheaded. um,
I think about it like this, right? Like you
mhm,
said, you went out of your way to get out of your comfort zone and do things that made you uncomfortable.
mhm,
But like, so let's speak to the people that aren't like that, right? They're really more reserved. They're more introvert. They're the kids that just kept staying home playing video games or watching anime or watching shows. Listen,
mhm.
we still watch anime. I still
Yeah, I
play
used
my
to watch
video
anime.
games.
Hmm.
I still play World of Warcraft. That's like the most nerdiest game you can possibly play.
Wait, which one?
Uh, World of Warcraft.
Oh shit. No, I've never been into video games. Ever since I was
Yeah,
a kid,
that
I've
one
never
is
been
just
into
straight up
video
an
games.
addiction, and like the only way you get good at that game to like a good level is to literally play that game all day. And there was a
Hmm.
point where I actually did that. Um, so it's not like, oh, I just like all of a sudden decided to become this other person and completely disassociate from what I actually enjoy doing, or
Hmm.
not necessarily the only thing that I enjoy doing is playing video games and watching shows, but it's one of those aspects that help you decompress, help you maybe escape from the world from a little bit. So it's generally what ends up happening with these things. You kind of you just want to escape a little bit, just give you a little bit of a breather from your life. Not a problem. You can still
Hmm.
do that, but you also have to incorporate a healthy balance of pushing those boundaries, looking to just have different experiences, right? Because that's the only thing that's going to actually make you interesting. Those
Hmm.
experiences that you have that are completely out of the blue. Um, I'm pretty sure oftentimes, like one of the big things for you is that you don't really like traveling with any kind of guide or anything. You kind of just like going, right?
Hmm.
So with that, you kind of just put yourself in situations where you're going to have interesting experiences. Now you might die, but that's an interesting experience if you survive, right? So these are the kind of things that you have to keep in mind as like you keep progressing through life. Put yourself in those situations where you have no control or you're out of your comfort zone and see how you manage, because that's what's really going to start building that character. That's what's really going to start building those interesting experiences that you can talk about that will make you interesting
Hmm.
and just help you be a better person.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree with you that you don't have to stop doing things that you love, like anime. I still watch anime. I still watch One Piece every Sunday when that new episode comes out. That's me. Like, I grew
Wait,
up
you're all
watching
caught up?
Dragon Ball Z. What's up?
You all caught up to One Piece?
Yes.
Fuck, dude. It's like
Nah,
a
but I
thousand episodes.
yeah, I know. When I get into something, I enjoy
You
doing things
binged,
like
you binged the shit out of that show because you got into it like a couple months ago, no?
yeah. No, but I usually watch it when like I'm cooking or I'm just need a break. Like
Got it.
I kind of multitask on that. I'm not
Yeah.
just like sitting there and watching it. That you have to balance it. And but yeah, like going back to what Randy said, that you don't have to stop doing things that you love. So if you enjoy video games, anime, comics, whatever it is, kind of enhance it, kind of get into it more with more passion. Do things around that, because trust me, you're gonna meet people in that area. They're gonna do and love the same things that you do, and that's more interesting. And I think that's the beauty of it. But for me, I'm a little bit complicated on that aspect because I juggle around a lot of things, a lot of interest. But for me, travel is pretty much my main passion. So that's where I have met so many like amazing people. On my travels to Cuba, I met this Colombian couple. Like they literally invited me to go to Colombia, and they were like, "Whenever you're in Colombia, you got a place to stay." Or like this Brazilian chick who I missed my shot with, uh, like she works in IBM, and we still communicate through IG. So you wouldn't get to know these people if you weren't able to go out of your comfort zone. Or even some of the chicks that we met through Tinder, I still communicate with some of them because I have them on IG. And it's just a network that you build eventually. And I just love that. Like I love meeting new people. I love traveling. And like Randy mentioned, one of my uh, things that I kind of enjoy doing the most is traveling without knowing like an actual itinerary. So wherever it takes me, I can end up dying. I know that's the risk, but I truly enjoy that adrenaline. And yeah, when it comes academically, I always exceed academically. Nowadays, like in college, that's when I realized the C's get degrees. So I kind of been putting too much effort on that rather than seeking more into my extracurriculars activities such as developing websites or photography in finance. So those are three of my things that I do to make money. But yeah, so one was I read this quote that says, you get a hobby that one makes you money, one makes you happy, and one helps you grow. So, you know, it's always like that. So enhance those things that you love to do. And, you don't have to do things that we like to do. You don't have to go out there and travel to become interesting. I would definitely suggest that because traveling can be an eye opening for you. But, find a passion. It can be drawing, it can be comics, it can be anime, it can be video games. Just find it. And that's what's gonna make, like I said, what makes you interesting is being you and be truly to yourself, like who you are. And trust me, you're gonna come across with people who shares completely different views from you, and those are the people that you want to have the talks with because they can show you a different perspective of life, and you can be like, yeah, I see the way that you live, and you can not compare yourself, but you can say, I don't know, like
You'll
like
live vicariously through them.
me and Randy are completely different in that aspect. Like even your sister mentioned this, that the reason that we get along so well is because we're opposite to each other. Like,
When you were talking about how like you're good with learning, I'm the complete opposite. I'm a hardhead. It takes me forever to learn something. I have to go through it over and over and over again until it finally clicks. For you, it's easier, and
yeah.
that's one of the differences. Like we complement each other in such a way where, like, it's not that they're weaknesses, but you have stronger aspects where I'm weaker, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I wouldn't have met this guy if I didn't transfer from Buffalo, and that was a huge mistake, me leaving Buffalo, but at the same time was the best decision I had made in my life. So don't be afraid to take risks, and don't be afraid to kind of embrace the mistakes that you make, because you never know where it's going to take you. Yeah,
Sure.
that's life. And if you want to be more interesting, if you want to become more interesting, do the things that you love. And trust me, if you can talk to, let's say you go on a date, like this usually it's when it comes to girls, right? All comes down to the girls.
Always. It's one of the main things, right? So
Yeah,
it's sex, food, and sleep.
yeah, true. So if you can speak with passion about the things that you do, that's just, well, she already took out her panties. Nah, imagine.
Dripping. But yeah, man. So yeah, just go out of your way to push those comfort zones little by little. You don't have to go too extreme starting off. Just get more comfortable doing uncomfortable things. That's it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right. I think
It's a
that covers it.
balance, and things that you love, and also don't forget to be social. Or you can be social, being antisocial. Doesn't that's a trend too. So there's things out there. Just gotta
Yep.
look for them.
Yep.
Or you can just create your own. All right. Fitness. How to create a fitness test for yourself.
All right. So this one shouldn't be too bad. So again, everything we talk about depends on the person. It could be different for everybody.
Right.
But I'll go with a general approach. So usually for me, the way I like to examine my clients is on a couple things. Cardio, their cardio output, strength, muscular endurance, balance, and core stability, core strength. So those are the aspects that I usually like to see if they're strong in, they're weak in, can they even manage to do these exercises or these movements? Because though all those aspects that I just named, again, these are things that as you get older, you should be improving or at least maintaining. Because if you start losing them, that's where you're going to start coming into health problems, more health complications. You're going to have to go to the doctor more often, where you're going to have to get more checkups, where you're going to have to start using more medication in order to help you do whatever it is. So when I look at these things, that's my thought process for the future. So just some exercises that I like doing. And again, depending on the person, the first thing that I have them do is run on a treadmill. Now, let's say there's somebody that has a knee injury or an ankle injury and you can't do that.
Mhm.
All right, so we adjust it. But some type of cardio that lets me gauge how well you can actually do cardio. So with that run, I make them run a mile in under 10 minutes, or at least that's the goal. The general person, the general healthy person should be able to run a mile within under 10 minutes. Now, oftentimes, I'm definitely not going to see that.
Mhm.
Usually I see within 12 to 15 minutes. And that's fine if you're out of shape and you haven't exercised that often. But the goal is to get it under 10. I started with this client that started at 12 minutes and 37 seconds. Now I got him down to about 8 minutes to run a mile. So it's pretty good. That's a huge improvement. And his cardio output is perfect. Now he's literally running on a daily basis. Like he goes out and runs 2 miles every other day. And that's just a really healthy approach to just improving his longevity with his life generally.
Mhm.
After that, I start assessing some muscular strength. So with that, I'm doing some bench press and either a leg press or a squat. With the squat, it's obviously a weighted squat. So either I can have him have weight in the front of his body or the back, depending if he knows how to do that or they know how to do that rather. We don't discriminate here. Um, After that, we do muscular endurance. So that is push-ups, body weight squats, and also we can throw in core there, planks. So with those, all I'm doing is max. I want to see how many you can do before or after you burn out. So as many push-ups until you burn out, as many body weight squats until you burn out. Hold the plank for as long as you can until you physically can't hold it anymore.
Mhm.
Again, just engaging, just seeing how everything's functioning there. And then the last bit is a little bit of flexibility, just to see how that's working. Usually I just have them touch their toes. I have them sit down on the floor and extend their legs all the way. And all they're doing is trying to reach their heels. If they can't reach their heels, then that means they're lacking a lot of flexibility in the hamstrings and the lower back. But if they can, then that's a good thing. And then that's it. Super simple. What I just named out like 5 or 6 things.
Right.
And you pretty much get a good overview of how they're functioning.
Yeah, those are really good points to see. What's your strengths and weaknesses, and see what you're best at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my weakness is cardio for sure. I still can run a mile in like under 10 minutes, but I cannot run for a long time, so my endurance is bad. Um, no, definitely when it comes to testing, I was definitely said like start with core. So you also mentioned some of the core exercises. Planks is a really good one to see overall your body because planks are pretty much testing like you making work every most of the muscles in your body like the abs, the core, the core, the back, the glutes, and even the arms. So you forcing every single muscle in there that can help. I'm not very good at this. Like I actually never test myself about how weak or strong am I, but I should definitely do that. I'm very flexible in that aspect because I've been doing yoga for quite long. So in that
Mm-hmm.
aspect, I think I'm very good. Like I can twist my arm. I imagine. um,
You make
Other than
my
that,
ear touch my shoulder.
when it comes, when it comes to strength, I lost a lot of muscle during the quarantine. Like to the point that my cousin came the other day. I think it was Sunday. He came. He's like, "Yo, you're so skinny." I was like, "Damn, that's not what I want to hear." But yeah, even though I still do push-ups and stuff, like the muscle doesn't grow anymore. Like
Yeah, I don't want to take you
I need
so far.
weights to do biceps and stuff. But it is what it is. Once
Oh,
quarantine.
there's one thing I forgot to mention with the strength.
Oh yes,
When
right.
I'm testing the strength, I'm
Mhm.
looking for a 1 rep max. So where do we get to that limit where you can only do 1 repetition of the weight?
Oh, okay. So like increase the weight until.
So I usually start off with like the first set, like 5 reps, just to give them a little warm up with light weight.
Mm-hmm.
Then I increasingly progress the weight by however many, 5 to 10 pounds. And I have them do 3 repetitions until they can't do 3 anymore. Then they do 2. Once they can't do 2 anymore, then we get to the 1. Once they
Mm-hmm.
hit the 1, that's where we finish.
Nice. Yeah, definitely strength is very, very important. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that covers it. I
Yep.
don't have much
Super
to add.
simple. There's not much
Perfect.
to add there. It's just that's the way I like doing a fitness test. You can do it differently, but usually I would test those different aspects just to make sure that you're well rounded. Because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes a bodybuilder, all they do is train their muscles, but they have shit cardio. They can barely touch their toes, and they
Mm-hmm.
walk up a flight of stairs, and they're literally about to pass out. Not
Yeah.
necessarily a healthy person. Might look good, doesn't mean they're healthy. And oftentimes you hear like stories of this guy was in his mid 40s or 30s. He looked really good, and all of a sudden he had a heart attack. There might be other
Yeah.
things to it, but that's one of the aspects, right? They don't have a well balanced program. It's just one thing over and over and over again. And eventually your body just can't handle that.
No, definitely diet. Like what you take in your body is very important. Plays a huge role. And we always talk about that. Like, eat your veggies.
Mm-hmm.
Eat
All
those.
right.
All right. Well, moving on to the next topic, which is finance. Biggest gain and biggest loss in the market. Do you mean personal gains or?
We can go with both. Let's say personal gains and losses, and then personal, or I don't know,
All right, you
other
can start.
losses.
You can take the lead.
Um. All right. So to me, I would say my biggest loss has actually been relatively recently. Um. So again, it's only within the last couple of months. I think starting in August that I started trading with 25K. And again, my approach in the beginning was different than what I'm doing now. Before I had really
Mhm.
bad um what was that topic we called the other day? Risk management.
Oh, risk manager.
I have really bad risk management. So instead of putting myself in a position where I can maneuver myself back and forth, I would kind of just go all in, seeing maybe I would get a good opportunity off of that. So I made a trade on JDST for 20K, and it did not go my way. And the thing dropped, like I would say, probably from top to bottom,
Mm-hmm.
10%, 15%. So within one shot, I dropped. I think it started going up. I was up like $200, and then I went down to 2 to 3,000 within, I would say, a time frame of about like 5 minutes.
Right, that's your biggest win
Loss
or your biggest loss?
on a
Mm.
20K position.
Wow, that's crazy. That's actually a big loss. I'm
Yeah, I know.
checking out my portfolio right now.
Mm.
So on my investment side, I remember when was this? I remember when was my biggest loss. It was back on 2018. It was on December 2018. I don't know if you remember. There was a bit of a crash. Everybody thought we were going on recession. 2018. Let's see. I started trading on 2006, like end of 2016. By then, I knew about investment. I was getting into investment more because I used to do trading and investment at the same time on the same portfolio. So back then, I was holding for the long term, but until this crash came, and I was like about holding it, don't sell it, whatever, and that's what I did. But the crash was enormous. Like I literally went from, let's see, like according to this portfolio, I went from, wait, no, that's the return. My bad. So I went from 13, wait, okay, let's see, right here. I went from $1,300, so almost 14K, all the way down to 10K. So it was a loss of 3 grand in a sort of what? In a sort of like a week or so. So that was my biggest loss. My biggest win, it was recently. It was with, actually not recently. It was when the gold took its run, and it went from, I think it was like $60 to $100. I placed a huge amount of shares, and I think I won like 2K in one trade. That, and also on my long-term portfolio, I actually haven't lost on my trade portfolio. Like I always maintain to capital. Like I always maintain that 1K in there. So that's been good. And then here on my long-term portfolio, now it's pretty steady, to be honest. I make cash in here. It's not too bad. Like it's very steady. Like usually it goes down on the as the market goes down. So back on 2019, back on May, it went down a little bit, but it picked itself up. Like even on March, my drop was not as significant as like back on December 2018. Like that drop is huge. Like that shit is crazy. I always still remember the day because I was holding it. I saw red and I still kept holding it. I was like, bro, it's gonna pick itself up, and I hold it throughout. Like my portfolio, like literally, I didn't sell anything until like I didn't sell anything. I actually bought more, and the rise was like quicker than I expected. Like within like 2 months, I was um, back to like before the crash happened. That was my biggest loss. I always gonna remember that because that was a huge mistake from my end because I was learning. So when it comes to that, when it comes to a long portfolio, once you see red, try to cut your shares. So for example, if you're holding 5 shares of something, cut it down to like 2, or 10, cut it down to 5. So half it, and have money on the side, like resources on the side. Once it reaches the bottom, buy back and buy more. So that's the strategy I used back in March, and my decrease was very, very like comparing like literally. Let's say the gap is the down back on December 18, it was about like 50% down, and not 50% down, but like so around the number. And back on March, it was about just 10% down because I learned how to manage my risk on that end because that was one of the biggest loss in his.
Risk management.
What's up?
Risk management.
Yeah, I started looking into risk management and strategies and how to outperform the market when it's going down.
Oh yeah, I forgot. In terms of my biggest win, I don't think it was any one particular win because it was all roughly the same every day, but it was a consistent winning streak. You know, we cleared a little over like 3K in a week. It's not bad.
That's solid.
It's a nice little payday, right? But then I was obviously during a learning experience, so obviously I lost it all. But you know, we'll get back there.
Yeah, I don't remember a specific the date that gold was on the rush. But I remember you telling me about this trade, and I remember jumping right into it because I saw the trend. I was like, "Yes, this is gonna hit 100. It's gonna hit more." And I back hold for an entire, like probably like almost a month. I back hold gold because it kept going up. It I didn't sell, and that's why it was. I mean, it was a trade, but it was during a month period, so I kind of took long to make those profits.
It's whatever.
Yeah,
Still good profits, profits, baby.
Yeah, and I never had made that amount of money on one trade. But yeah, that was it was very exciting to look back and be like, damn, I made those mistakes. I was lucky in this one, or stuff like that. But it's crazy.
Got blown up by this one.
Yeah, it's all going up, moving forward.
Yep. All right, yeah, I think that about covers it.
Yeah. Biggest loss on the market, like you want to do overall?
Like me, or just like when was the biggest loss?
Biggest loss, I think this year it was definitely on March.
Yeah, obviously the pandemic completely crashed everything. That was the craziest loss I've ever seen. Like I remember I was sitting. So during this time where like the crash started happening, we didn't know if the gym was going to stay open. So at that point, I was kind of just like going back and forth, and I was on my computer most of the time, kind of just trading or just looking at the stocks. And every day it was just like, so when the market drops, there's these things called circuit breakers.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
And those are triggered when the market loses a significant amount, like I think 7% starting off, and then the next one is at like around 13 and 21.
15.
or whatever the case, those percentages are. But the reason for that is to stop people from keep selling. So the market stops trading for 15 minutes. And one time it happened, what was it,
A second,
twice or
twice,
two
yeah,
times
two
in the
times.
same day. So it triggered like
Mm-hmm.
7 minutes into market open, or
Mm-hmm.
like at 10 minutes into market open. The market stopped trading for 15 minutes, and then everybody kept selling. And
Mm-hmm.
the second circuit breaker triggered, and the market stopped trading for another 15 minutes. And then it kind of bottomed out, but that was crazy because it happened again on the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Another circuit breaker triggered. So people were just selling, selling, selling. And obviously, for
Mm-hmm.
the uninitiated, that's a scary thing, right? Like, holy shit, everybody's selling. Like, the world is going to shit right now.
Yeah.
But if you're smart, that's where you can make a shitload of money. And that's where a lot of people made a shitload of money this year, right? Like, wait for that bottom, buy back into everything that's going back up, or just ride the fact that everything is getting bottomed out and shorted out, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
the ETF S triple Q, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could have made a shit ton of money shorting the market because everybody kept selling. That thing ran at least, I'm pretty sure it was over 100% within like a week.
Yeah.
So there's
Like
always money to be made.
yeah, that's definitely one of the things that we learned from this pandemic. I remember back by the end of 2019, I remember already being talks about recession because the interest year on the 10-year bond went to negative. And that was a clear sign that we were going into recession, but nobody expected to be a pandemic that was actually the leading cause for the pandemic. So I remember, I think I remember sending you the video about explaining um, it was
Yeah, I think
way
so.
back, like back in December, because I remember clearly watching this video on the Metro North, and they were analyzing it, how like that, how like that what's it called, the indicators that we are leading into a recession, whether it was going to be on January or whether it's going to be at the end of 2020. And that's when I started clearing my portfolio already. I started kind of preparing it like um like what's it called, recession proof. So I started cutting my shares. So by the time that March came in, I remember I was already a bit ahead of it. I don't know. I got lucky on that aspect because I always kept myself informed. But once I heard that war pandemic, I was like, this is it. This is a recession. So I cut off like my positions on everything that I had, like over five. So if I had more than five shares holding on a company, I cut it off, put it off back to two or one. So I kept my portfolio like that, same companies, and I sold little companies that I thought I didn't need it at that time, and I could always buy back when it hits bottom. But
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was able to kind of like my loss during March. It was very very minimal comparing to my other
Same,
losses.
same. I didn't
Yeah.
have any money in the market.
Mm. No, but it was crazy. Like this year has been a roller coaster because like the biggest win is going to be back on March, when the tech bubble, before the tech bubble burst. But that was a huge win on the tech industry, especially like a
Mm-hmm.
fucking rising. And that brings me to Zoom, who had its earning reports yesterday. I don't know if you were keeping
Yeah,
an
I
eye.
saw it.
Yeah. So they actually dropped, I think it was like 4% yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though strong numbers are shown, investors are not, are not confident enough anymore about how big it can grow. Wait, let me
Mm-hmm.
see. Where is it? I was just looking at it. Zoom, yes. So they beat up expectations. So and they had a lot of revenue, actually 777 million, which is 367% from last year. So year of date. That's huge. That's a huge growth for a company. But after hours, they drop 4.5, which is crazy. Um, so we can see how tech is getting back to like the stable zone, or like stabilizing
Mm-hmm.
itself.
Mm-hmm.
And the other industries such as hospitality, airlines are slowly picking itself up. And especially when there are talks about the vaccine coming soon,
Yep.
which is really good. So pharmaceuticals actually are on the high. Moderna grew. Wait. How much did it grow? It grew 55% in the last 3 days. So it's good news.
Killing it.
There, my voice is
Absolutely killing
changing.
it. Yeah.
Becoming a
Either
man.
your balls are dropping or you're getting sick.
No, I don't know. It just dropped. Like so weird. But yeah.
So yeah, I think that covers the biggest loss and gains.
Yeah,
Oh
we're
yeah,
going
so
to
we're right into news, right? So the next one of the big things about like the Zoom drop as well. So
Mhm.
there's a bunch of companies, specifically Chinese companies, that the US government is going to pass a bill come Wednesday, due to the
Yeah.
fact that they're not in compliance with I'm not specifically what the litigation is, but like they're not in compliance with like the stock market here in the US.
Mhm.
Um, so they have to kind of restructure some things in their company, specifically the Chinese companies. So we're talking about Zoom, Neo is one of them as well. I had a big
Yeah,
drop
no,
yesterday.
also fall down.
Alibaba, um, a bunch of the other ones.
Mhm.
And again, if they have about 2 years in order to comply with these rules, so they have to change stuff in the company in order to comply with the stock market here. So that kind of dropped those stocks yesterday.
Mhm.
Um, Tesla, right? They're getting added into the S&P 500 in one shot. So it's not the what people were projecting was either they do it in one shot or they do it within 2 different days, one on the 12th and one on the 21st. But now they're just settling on one day, so that's cool. So that drove up. I don't know if you saw that yesterday, but I was literally here just eating because I was down quite a bit on a Tesla position. I was down like 2 or 3%,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
all of a sudden it just flew up.
Oh
I'm like,
yes.
what's
I think.
happening? I thought something broke with the app. Like
Mhm.
they just started rising in such a weird way, and it cleared a little over 4%. So from bottom to top, it went from down 3 to up 4, so 7. So it's pretty crazy in the aftermarket hours. And yeah, that's all the news updates that I got for you.
Yeah, no, I peeped about Tesla yesterday that after hours it went like $30 above from what it's low. And it didn't drop too much yesterday either. I think it was like a
It
1% drop.
stabilized at 590.
Yeah, but at the end of the day it was pretty flat. What surprised me, it was gold, because yeah, I'm still trading gold right now. But the beginning of the day it was down, like it felt a little bit, but the end of the day it grew enormously. Like I was like, wow. Even though Bitcoin hit almost 20K yesterday, I was wrong about my prediction. I still think it's gonna burst sooner or
No,
later.
it definitely will, but I don't think it's
But
gonna happen now.
yeah, but I think now I increase my position that it's gonna remain on the 15 to 16K. Before I said like 10 to 15K. But definitely it's beating expectations. That's crazy. But I still not invested on Bitcoin. I
Certain
took out my
times.
money from there a long time ago.
Mm.
Um, another news. Oh, GM. Let's go back to Nikola, to EVs. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
heard. GM is actually taking out its stake on Nikola, so it's no longer supporting it. So,
Oof.
um, so their shares dropped significantly. So now this is what happens when you do kind of fraud, because that's what they did. To be honest,
Yep.
they sold a product that was not functioning, or that was not an actual thing. So they just sold the idea, but they weren't able to meet up the expectations.
Right.
And GM is taking its stake out, even though it supported before, but now it's taken out. I think it's doing its own thing, as we can see with the release of
The Hummer EV.
their own ABs. So it's crazy. It's interesting to see that. I don't know how long can Nikola survive, to be honest, but the stock is dropping significantly. In other news, Nike was Nike was its or favorite brand according to the news. So I kind of hate Nike.
Nike?
I own my Adidas, huh?
What were you
Nike,
saying? Nike.
Nike, yeah, like the
Okay.
brand, the clothing brand.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm more like Adidas person. I got my Adidas chanclas, my Adidas sweatpants, Adidas hoodie.
No, man.
Nike, I
Whoever has
really like it.
the best one. I bought like
Wait, which
four
one?
Adidas. I've bought like four Adidas those track pants, and they always break on me.
Damn. Wait, which one you say is good?
No, I don't know. I mean, I haven't tried Nike, but I know the Adidas always break on me. So I don't know.
Man. I don't know. That's just luck. Never fails me for me.
Okay.
All right. Cool,
Maybe I
cool,
bought them too tight.
maybe. All right. Without that, I mean, aside of that, I think that's pretty much it for the day. We don't want to make it
Yes,
too
sir.
long.
Nope.
You got anything to say?
Nope. Just take care. Have a good day, and don't catch Rona.
Facts. Stay away
You can help it.
from. I went to do my test the other day. Probably gonna get my results today. See if I have. I mean, if I have
Corona.
negative or not. But
Right.
I feel like I'm negative. Was it?
I hope so.
Yesterday I was joking around. I was like, nunca negativo, siempre positivo. Because I have a positive attitude, my guy.
Yep.
All right. Yo, peace out.
I mean.